Hi, my name is Will. I am recording my response for lesson 5 leadership reflection video for MAN4120. This will be discussing the 4 different domains of emotional intelligence and the number 1 ability for leaders by Daniel Goleman. One of the 4 emotional intelligence domains that stood out to me most was self-awareness. I think that self-awareness has been a area that I've been working on for several years, and I think that it's worth all of us spending lots of time on. Self-awareness, I think, is the foundation for everything that we do and every other domain. Because if you don't understand yourself, your own emotions, and how you're regulating and managing yourself, it's really hard to understand others or even interact with others. Um, I think self-awareness for leaders is really important. It helps us recognize how we feel and how to manage those emotions so that we can be effective leaders in making decisions and carrying out decisions and executing what we've already decided we're going to do. But it also helps with managing and regulating others. I think that stands out for me because I realize a lot of mistakes people make aren't from lack of intelligence, but more of not being aware of themselves or others. Goldman also explains emotional intelligence being something that can be learned. And I think that's true. I think I've learned a lot about self-awareness in the last few years. I also think that everyone can grow an EQ, unlike IQ, which tends to be more stable, relatively stable and unchanged. Emotional intelligence, I think, can improve with practice. I think we can all practice it so many different ways with intention and listening, controlling our emotions and reactions, controlling how we view others and think. And respond. It just takes effort and consistency. And so, for example, I think becoming more mindful in conversations, which is one of my responses from the video quiz, which is um, taking time to respond or taking time to reflect and listen to people before responding, to not react as much, but to also give people time to convey how they think and feel in their ideas. Um, Goldman tells a story about Govan Brown, the bus driver, which I think is a really powerful example of how we interact with others. I think Govan Brown understood himself, understood who he was and how he felt, and what his um, job was. And part of his decision was to change the way that he treated people, which would be much greater than expected from a bus driver and just public transportation in the city. That completely changed the atmosphere of the bus, of the people around him, and it became a staple and a pillar for that part of people's lives. I think people actually got off the bus better than when they got on. And this story shows that EQ doesn't depend on your job. It just depends on how you treat people. Um, Now, thinking about a time I struggled with one of the EQ skills which is not listening carefully to people, specifically not listening to people in a group project. I was more focused on getting my ideas across than understanding others, which can cause some tension, may cause people to actually not put in as much effort, which just means I had to put in more effort. But even then, I might not have been aware of that, but it just made others feel like they were not valued as much. And I don't want that. So if I could go back, I would definitely change that. And so going forward, one small habit I would change is actively listening without interrupting. I think this is something I can really work on and would really benefit myself and others. And this has really helped me see how emotional intelligence is a powerful skill that affects everyone.